Good afternoon. We are here because we are going to read a little bit. It's always good to read because then you practice your voice. Basically, you have more confidence in your voice. So you're gonna believe yourself more often because of that. Right? So it's important to read all the time, every day. You need to have an idea about things in general. You don't need to read the same things as I read. You don't need to follow the same steps. Do your own, but do it. This is a pipe dreams. They knew how to make a pipe. They knew how to make a pipe. Yes, look at this. This is a nice looking pipe. It's a duck there. It's a human face there. They're quite kind of very good at making pipes, and probably the hive was that good too. Because if you invest that amount of time, that much amount of time, then congratulations, you're doing a great job, right? So let's invest a little bit of time here. Birds were the most common animals carved on Adena Hopewell pipe bowls because of their ability to travel through the air, which was conceived of as a separate world. Oh, maybe I go too much on world. That that's something I've been noticing.
world,
world,
World, world,
world,
world, world, world,
world,
world, world, separate world, 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 it's kind of like that, world, exactly like that, world. Ducks and other water fowl were particularly popular because they were able to travel through all of the worlds, air, water, and land. For similar reasons, beavers were frequently carved on bowls, as were representations of the prince of Mayan mythology, the frog, which being a creature of both land and water, was likewise a spirit messenger. Human heads were sometimes depicted as ever carved to face the smoker. These pipes may have been used when smokers wished to communicate with a particular member of the deceased. From about 700 AD onwards, the Adena Hopewell culture entered an epoch of retreat and decline during which it is known as the Mississippian period. The Mississippians continued to smoke and bury pipes in mounds, but a regression in design had occurred. Regression in design. Pipes had become impracticable impracticably large, too heavy for personal use, and were collectively employed in meditation groups instead of solacing solitary smokers. Solacing I don't know, man. Hmm. Okay, do you? Okay, it comes from
solace,
solacing.
solace,
Okay.
solace,
solace,
All right, thanks. In this case, solacing. Instead of solacing, solitary smokers. What's the meaning of solace?
solace,
Help and comfort when you are feeling sad or worried. Worried.
worried,
worried,
Worried.
worried,
Okay, word. The usual subjects carved on their bones were human figures, as if the Mississippians were trying to ever harder to communicate with ancestors and their races past glories. Their history ended in 1731 when the tribe's remnants were annihilated annihilated by the French. Oh my god.
annihilate,
Annihilated.
annihilate,
Sorry for that, right? Annihilated by the French. At least I searched, right? Then now I know that it's so different from what I thought it would be, you know? That's good. Annihilated. A more complete record remains of the tobacco habits of the Plains tribes of North America, who survived longer after the coming of the white man. Although illiterate, illiterate, let's check too. When it sounds too hard.
illiterate, illiterate,
Illiterate,
illiterate,
illiterate, illiterate. It's an illiterate man.
illiterate,
Illiterate man. He's a literate man. Their oral legends were chronicled. Yeah,
chronicle,
chronicle,
chronicled,
chronicle,
chronicled,
chronicler,
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 chronicler.
chronicler,
Okay, chronicled by their white replacements who, smokers themselves, were particularly sympathetic to those concerning tobacco. As a consequence, records exist of not just how but why these early Americans smoked. Many of these justifications were identical to those employed in South and Central America. Clearly, the weed had been accompanied on its journey north by the existing reasons for its use. These included its familiar role as a medicine, although the number of diseases it was believed to cure had diminished. However, it was still used to fight toothache, and to heal snake bites, and also recommended for cleaning the lungs. Tobacco's integration into the cultures of various North American tribes stretches back to their creation myths, where the weed was usually represented as a divine and precious gift. Some myths, like a snake speaking. Myths. Come on. This word is quite weird. I never noticed that much as today.
Myth.
Myths. I want to say, I want to see this one being used. You know? Huh.
myth,
Myth. Okay. The myths. In the plural. How can it be in the plural? Nobody wants to tell me that. Okay. Of course we can do this.
Myths.
Myths is like it's just quite weird. Some myths depicted tobacco or its spirit as a beautiful celestial maiden. This attribution of femininity, really, femininity, femininity. Jesus. In Portuguese, this is like feminicidade. Is that right? Feminilidade.
Femininity.
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 Femininity. This one is way better. It's way easier. Femininity. It's not femininity. This one is harder. Femininity was later adopted by the white man to help make sense of his fondness for tobacco. Tobacco had also accumulated some new ritual functions, reflecting its importance in the relatively drug-impoverished north of the continent. Amongst many tribes, smoking was never practiced as an end in itself, but always for some definite purpose, forming part of the day's routine, or as a rite prescribed by tribal custom. Whenever important decisions concerning the family, the tribe, or intertribe relations were required, a meeting of braves would be convened. Convent. What is it? Convent. Convene. Be convened.
convene,
Oh,
Convene.
convene.
convene,
To meet formally as a group or to arrange a meeting of people or groups for a serious purpose. Okay. It's working. Convened. Would be convened. The matters at hand will be discussed while the pipe was passed around. In this manner, the tobacco pipe served a similar function to the Speaker's mace in Britain's Parliament. It was a ritual prop, the means of transforming argument into debate. Tobacco pipes form a significant part of the cultural legacy of Native Americans. Enormous quantities of time and energy were dedicated to their manufacture and decoration. Amongst the Plains tribesmen, pipes were often. Who says actually often and who says often? Okay. Both.
Often.
Often.
Both, simply put.
Often. 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 Often.
But I would like to listen this one often. Both probably say the same way. Served a similar function. Okay. Located amongst here. Where was I? Enormous quantities. That was the word. quantities of time, energy, or factor among other people. Tribes were often the only possession. Another one,
Possession.
possession,
Possession.
possession. Okay, possession that they had not strictly necessary to the procurement or storage of sustenance. The only known utensil. The plains tribes committed as much passion to the manufacture of his pipe as any Renaissance craftsman to the creation of the chalice. The fine carving of their pipe bowls give evidence of the reverence with which the ritual and paraphernalia of smoking were held. An astonishing legend surrounded the source of stone used in the pipe bowls of many different and widely separated tribes, that somewhere in America's heart a special pipe mine existed, provided by their common God for every man to use, and at which an inter-tribal hostilities had to be suspended. So deep were the taboos surrounding the fabled pipe mine that it was not until 1840 that the first white man sets eye on it. What? Fabled pipe mine. Canadian pipe mine. Okay. On occasions, tribes used natural instead of artificial means to create their pipes. For instance, in the northern Californian area of Klamath, were smoking as coat, right?
Cult.
Cult.
Smoking as a coat. The fattish Karak Indians invented an eco-friendly method of making pipe steams from arrowwood by enlisting the aid of the salmon weevil, a parasite, parasitic, uh, this is
Parasitic.
parasitic,
Parasitic.
parasitic, parasitic,
Parasitic.
parasitic,
Parasitic.
parasitic. But then this is parasite,
Parasite.
parasite,
Parasite.
parasitic grub that infected their principal foodstuff. Arrowwood possesses. Oh, not sure again.
Possess.
Possess.
Possesses a spongy pith. What's this, man? What's the meaning of this? A white substance between the skin and the flesh of citrus fruits, such as oranges, or the soft white inside part of the stem of some plants. What? white substance. I'm trying to imagine oranges. Oh, maybe. Maybe I know it. Part of this team. Maybe I know it. Spongy pith, which would be soaked in salmon oil before introducing the weevil to one end of the steam, which was left to eat its way out to the other, feeding on the delicious fish oils which constituted its usual diet. The result was a hollow tube which was attached to a stone pipe bowl. In contrast to this complex interaction with insect stars, the Pueblo Indians who inhabited the area around Santa Fe smoked their tobacco through simple pottery tubes fired from the same adobe clay with which they clad their houses. Oh, I'm tired. I'm gonna stop from this one for this one. I'm gonna make a stop now for this one. A bit tired of reading, but let's keep going. I'm doing lots of videos with uh, lots of time, also like bunch of time on each of them, and I've been practicing my British accent, and it's getting its way in, but it's kind of awkward. Yeah, like the same language with different accents, and you mix them, it's quite awkward. I don't know what's gonna be the future of it, but anyway, right? Everyone has its own peculiarities. Everyone has its own peculiarities, and I have mine. I think maybe I can separate both. It's um, I don't speak so much. I don't speak that much the British accent. I just think that it's gonna maybe open my mind, I hope, and make me think differently. And I'm practicing some other languages too, so I think everything is going to come as a good thing. At least I will try to get this as a good thing. Anyway, let me finish this one. I'm kind of tired. I just need to maybe sip some coffee and maybe I'm good to go. See you.